Hello and welcome to today's news on Vanguard Live. My name is Daniela Ogunshaki. Let's go straight to the front pages of the dailies. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with worsening insecurity. Kidnappers abduct pupils, teachers, demand 30 million naira. Police arrest 5 kidnapped suspects. Tinubu orders immediate rescue of students. Monarchs killers arrested. Nothing will be spared to rescue pupils and teachers, that's according to Oyebanji. We must ensure Nigerians sleep with 2 eyes closed, that's according to Akpabio. We are deeply troubled, Speaker Abbas cries to Tinubu. Left to convene security summit, tax Tinubu on security architecture. State police will tackle insecurity challenges, as according to Makinde. You can see that story on page 5. And on page 6, 4.6 billion naira UNTA fund shared to organize prayers against insecurity. That's according to an EFCC witness. And here there's a picture showing Chairman CEO Thermal Development Company Limited, Mr. Alfred, his spouse Anita, Group Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, wife of the Minister of State Gas, Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Epo, also Minister of State Gas, Petroleum Resources, Luke Epo, MD CEO Fidelity Bank PLC, Mrs. Neka, and the spouse of the President CEO under Maipo Dockyard, Mrs. Kim, our President and the CEO of Hyundai Maipo Dockyard, Mr. H.K. Kim, at the commissioning of Thermal ultra-modern LPG gas carrier held in South Korea. Stories above on page 4. Ayo Adebanjo, Oba Olaitan remain our leaders, that's according to Afenifere. New minimum wage negotiation will reckon with situation in West Africa, that's according to committee chair. On page 9, AU expresses regret as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger send formal withdrawal notice to ECOWAS. Lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, IMF downgrades forecast for Nigeria's 2024 economic growth to 3%. That can be seen on page 19. Now the Punch leading story says kidnapping epidemic. Abductors demand 100 million naira for Ekiti school children and teachers. Police, NSCDC, Amoteco, OPC, UNTAS form joint task force. Arrest 5 suspects. You can see that on page 7. On page 36, NNPCL wins South Korean investors for gas projects. 300 stranded Euro-bound Nigerians returned from Libya. You can see that on page 43. Fashoranti remains Afenifere leader, not Adebanjo. That's according to Secretary. Ogun, 2 police inspectors, corporal dismissed for robbery. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. Adeleke imposes a curfew as 2 die in communal clash. You can see that on page 43. Stories above the banner, 200,000 naira minimum wage no longer realistic. That's according to Labour. Lastly, on Punch, Nigeria plunges in official market. CBN warns forex dealers, and you can see that inside the Punch newspaper. Now the Nation. Killing of monarchs, abduction of pupils in the Kitty draw outrage. Abductors demand 100 million naira. President direct rescue of pupils, arrest of gunmen. And inside the Nation, do not despair, says Oyebanji. Ekiti government, Southwest PDP clash. Olubadan, YLT speaker protest. You can see that inside the Nation. CBN pays $64 million airlines forex backlog. $700 million trapped, says IATA. You can see that on page 2. Senators, reps seek urgent action against insecurity. Osime, Ekong, Lukman test negative for CAF ordered dope examination. You can see that on page 30. Stories above the banner. Article playing cheap politics on national issues. Presidency ex-VP clash. 1.5 million in Benue IDP camps. Governor Alia laments. Abuja disco management sacked over poor power supply. Lastly, on the Nation newspaper, IMF projects global inflation reduction. Police applicant to write CBT. You can see the stories on pages 7 and 3. Lastly, the Guardian's leading story says 7 states on borderline. Bandits, smugglers reign as sanctions. hardship ground communities. You can see that on page 6. And on page 21, CBN cautions FX dealers against market manipulation as Naira slides to 1,500 Naira. Workers demand living wage as federal government unveils negotiation committee. Naira ranks 145 on Graft Index, scores 25 out of 100 points. Tuition fees hike imminent as private schools spend fortune on security. Again, Senate summons service chiefs over insecurity. Lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, signed executive order on unexplained wealth. Ndume tells Tinubu. You can see that on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damilola Ogunshaki. Joining us to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Gbero Olajigbe. He's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, Mr. Gbero.
Morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies this morning. So, no fewer than 6 pupils, 3 teachers, and the driver of a private school bus in Ekiti State on Monday night kidnapped by government suspected to be herdsmen. So what do you think about this insecurity going on in FCT that have now extended to Ekiti State?
Well, let me at least condole with the people of Ekiti State for the killing of their 2 others and the children and the teachers that were kidnapped on their way to school, or from school rather. It's really sympathetic. But then that is the situation we have found ourselves in Nigeria of today. Nowhere is clear today. Along the Lagos road, people were kidnapped, including the Lagos State chairman of PDP. And of course, in Abuja, it has become a daily affair. People are not living with their eyes closed. They can't sleep with their eyes closed. That has been the situations across the country. And it's extremely unacceptable. But this can be taken from the fact that life has been made miserable for the people of Nigeria through the